Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later, as right now we're taking a look at this little lot, which is of course the Mechanical Alliance Constructicons, an unofficial and oversized set of Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons, and they've been enlarged to be kind of much more in line with Masterpiece movie scale, so we'll be doing plenty of comparisons with those sorts of figures today and seeing how we get on. And just here you can see how big the boxes are, and I've just thrown in there old 3-0 Bumblebee just to give you an idea of the sheer scale of these things, and yeah, it's really quite something. Now I picked up this set from showzstore.com, so I'll put a link to their site in the video description and to their listings, so you can go ahead and treat yourself if indeed these lot take your fancy. Right, well let's take a look at this lot one by one, and first up here is MT-03. This is long haul, of course, Revenge of the Fallen long haul, and gotta say, it looks quite impressive straight out the box. Really quite taken with it. As I said, this is an oversized version of the Studio Series mold, so if it looks familiar that might be it, but it's really interesting to see, particularly as I've only just reviewed, or recently anyway, the Devil's Savior version of this character, which is of course a wholly new design. And actually this thing looks really quite impressive straight off the bat. Just on account of those vivid colours. It's a much more kind of pea green look than the Devil's Savior version. We'll do a comparison shortly, but yeah, presents very nicely in hand, some nice paint applications too, looks good. Now next up is MT-01, this is Rampage, and as you can probably see I'm having to hold him up here because he'd be falling over otherwise. I mean, I haven't extended the little tail just there as yet, but he's looking really quite impressive again, really nice paint applications, and yeah, very excited about this one. Now fortunately he also comes packaged with a little stand, which you can see here, and it just kind of comes in 3 different pieces in the box and plugs together very easily indeed. So yeah, that's definitely going to help with getting him stabilized. I haven't quite figured out how to get him on the stand just yet, but that's my first attempt anyway, so we'll figure that out in a minute, and I think we need to fiddle around with his arms as well. Next up is MT-02 Scrapmetal, which looks again very impressive right out the box, really nice kind of mustardy colour on this guy, and then he comes with these extra little pieces as well, so we'll need to figure those out in just a minute, and then you also get this kind of jangly, you know, sort of chain accessory thing, so I'll need to figure that out as well. And next up is MT-04 Hightower, which of course is a bit of a weird and wonderful design. You know, a lot of these Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons are a bit unusual, it's only fair to say, but the main bot himself looks a bit weird, and then you get this kind of little crane piece as well, and then you may recognise these pieces as the enemy scrotum. And then here's the full set assembled and all kind of, you know, accessoried up and whatever else. It has to be said that right out the box they present very beautifully indeed. And it is a large set. I mean, as I said, they're oversized, but still that probably doesn't quite do the magnitude of them justice. I mean, certainly Rampage on his stand is a real thing to see. Very large indeed, quite imposing. We'll do some size comparisons in a bit, but there you can see the full set so far. Now, it's not the whole set that you'll need to make the combined mode. There will hopefully be more of them, a few more to go before we can do the full Devastator, but this is all of the figures that have been released so far, and I am really quite excited about them. It's always hard to know what you're going to get with kind of oversized versions of you know, official molds. I think these present very nicely indeed. The paint applications look glorious, and yeah, I'm feeling it right away. I'm feeling it. So let's take a look at them individually in a bit more detail. And first up, here's Long Haul again, and as I said earlier, yeah, I'm really liking that pea green. It's very different to Devil's Savior, which had much more of a kind of weathered, kind of distressed paint effect on it, which did look really nice. But actually, I'm kind of digging the kind of cleaner look on this dude as well. I feel like it really works for me. And yeah, really nice colours, some glorious paint applications on there, lots of silver paint, and I really feel like they've gone to town and kind of pulling out the detail on this guy and making him look quite premium. I'm impressed. That head sculpt is of course a thing to contend with. I mean, I really feel like, I really appreciate actually the Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons, just because they're not your typical movie-verse Decepticons. You know, they're not just kind of bland, kind of generic, mishmashed metal Decepticons. You know, they've actually got a bit of kind of memorable look to them. And a lot of that is the colours, but also I think, you know, Long Haul in especially especially is a really kind of more classic design. And here I really like how they've employed a lot of the silver on the face sculpt to really pull out that molded detail. I feel like it would be quite easy to miss, otherwise it would just be kind of a bit, you know, kind of washed in. Even like the little wires on the side, it all looks superb. Coming down to the chest, and you've got a bit more of that going on again. You know, again, the paint apps, all of that looks, they all look really quite on point. Very shiny silver, which is nice, and again, just kind of pulling out that little detail there. Looks really good indeed. Now it's worth just showing you here on the side that there is actually a bit of paint slop going on, which is a little bit unfortunate. Actually, I will say that on the whole, having just given these guys a bit of a once over, that the paint really does look good. You know, this is the only evidence I've seen of a bit of kind of poor QC so far, which is just that little bit of unfortunate paint on the side panel there. And again, just taking a look at the legs, you can really see a lot of that molded detail going on there. The paint again looks excellent. You know, I really feel like this guy has a very nice chunky appeal to him, but he's got that kind of intricate finish as well. It's really good. And here is Rampage, and I finally got him positioned on his stand just properly and got his tail extended as well just there. And you can see if I just kind of turn him to the side, that the stand just kind of plugs in the back there. Feels quite secure actually, quite robust. It does have a bit of a wobble to him, as you can no doubt see, but looks really quite impressive. I've not got any fears about him falling off at all, so that's good. And then obviously extended out the arms a little bit as well, and you know, you can position it how you want ultimately, but you know, I've just kind of got the treads unfolded and everything there, and the claws out as they show you to in some of the pictures. And again, this guy looks quite spectacular in hand. Love the colors. The red is super vibrant. The yellow paint looks awesome, really good. Really nicely applied on areas such as the arms and the claws, and just really makes this guy pop in hand. It's very unique and interesting design, but they've gone down on it and it just pays off. Excellent. Here's coming in for a bit of detail on that face again, and as before, I think it's the silver paint that really kind of draws out the detail. Honestly, superb. Absolutely in love with the look of this figure so far. I really didn't feel like this would be the one that would kind of capture me. I've seen a toy, you know, kind of mainline toy of this guy before, and was kind of, it was fine, you know what I mean, absolutely fine. But this, honestly, is super impressive. This is kind of what I've been imagining the Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons to look like in toy form. You know, it's very good. And just coming down to the chest section, you can see some really nice paint again on the little cogs and things like that. And I really like this kind of gold paint on there. Looks super nice. Almost looks metal, doesn't it? And it's only actually, yeah, if you give it a little touch, actually. It's not. It is painted plastic. It doesn't feel cold to the touch. But you could almost be forgiven that is metal. It just looks as good. It looks that good, honestly. Here's a little close-up on those claws. And again, detail, paint, all of that. Superb. Really quite impressed. And there is a bit of posability in the claws as well, which is good. But yeah, they look very impressive. Next up is Scrapmetal, and I think it's interesting with this guy because the other two present so beautifully that it kind of, you know, the finish on this guy maybe isn't quite as immediately spectacular, but actually when you look up close, it's still really nice. He's still got some nice paint going on, and as I said, really like the mustardy color on him as well. Now the face sculpt might be a little bit bizarre, but again, it's really done very nicely. Some little painted red eyes in there as well, which you can just about see, and again, kind of drawing out the details. Some nice blue just there on the lights on the sides as well. It all looks really cool. Interesting to see them using the old cat logo here and caterpillar on the side as well. And yeah, I guess it's a bit of a bizarre one because it is, you know, an official logo. So I don't know if that's going to land them in hot water or not at all, but yeah, there you go. It's I mean, look, it's nice to have, right? Like if you're going to have these guys, it's nice detail that you're never going to get on the official toys. So there you go. And again, just coming down to that chest section, you can see those little wavy lines really done very nicely. Little cogs inside there as well. The paint all looks superb and on point. Same goes for the legs, and you just got that kind of gold paint on there again, which looks, I mean, again, catches the light really nicely, makes those wheels look fantastic. Right, and here is Hightower, and as I said earlier, it does look a little bit bizarre, but still quite good fun. I feel like this design, to a certain extent anyway, is what it is, but I feel like they've really kind of captured it quite well here. He's even got his little arms just here that you can kind of see. There's this little claw which bizarrely just kind of pops out from just underneath the head, which is a little bit strange. But again, it's got the same kind of really nice finish, and I think you just have to accept that it is what it is with these Revenge of the Fallen Constructicons, man. You know, you just got to kind of, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. You just got to kind of roll with it. Again, the face looks pretty good. I'm into it. It's just very strange seeing that head just there on that body, but you know, it is what it is, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, the paint is very nicely applied. Got some nice little caution, keep clear logos just here, and some nice red paint on the back. And I think of all of them, this guy probably has the least obvious paint applications, but still they are there, you know, in areas such as this and down here. You just have to maybe look for them a little bit more, but still looks really, really good. So having given them all a bit of a once over, let's take a look at some articulation. Now with long haul, the head does move from side to side, very stiff joints, very stiff at the neck indeed. Can also look down and up a little bit as well. Well, actually, just maybe straight forward, but certainly down. But yeah, still, I think it's better than the Devil Savior version in terms of articulation at the neck there. Now the arms are on very nice clicky ratchets indeed. That's really, really good. Won't really go up any further than that because they're just impeded by these wheels, but that's okay. And then there is a little bit of a bicep swivel as well. Of course, they can go forward just at the shoulder, just there. And there is actually just a little bit over a 90-degree bend just there on the arm, so that's okay. And then the hands do have articulation at the thumb. Actually, he's got 2 thumbs, so go figure. And then 2 fingers as well. He's kind of got turtle fingers. And then they have 2 points of articulation at each thumb and each finger. Now there is a waist swivel, very clicky again, as you can probably hear. Really nice strong waist swivel on this guy. Likewise, the hips are also on clicky ratchets. I'm really honestly having to give a bit of welly, and they will fold out to the side as well. This bit here on the legs does really impede the articulation forward, but you can kind of move it slightly, just the kind of rotation point there, and then that will give you a bit more distance just up, and actually you can get well past 90 degrees if you do it that way. Then at the knee, you get a bit of bend like that as well. That's not on a ratchet, but still quite stiff, and there is a bit of ankle tilt just going on there as well. I mean, look, I don't know how posable or articulated you need this guy to be, but it's pretty good actually. Feels very solid and stable too. Right, now let's take a look at Rampage, and again, you know, nice articulation at the head. It's kind of on a bit of an extended neck just there, but that will move around up and down quite a bit as well, so a lot of free motion available at that neck and head. You can even position it down slightly like so. That's pretty good. Now in terms of the arms, they will move quite freely at the shoulder, although this little bit at the back does impede it slightly, and then they will fold up at the shoulder just there as well. Not on ratchets, these ones, but they do feel solid enough. They do feel solid. And there is kind of what I guess you could call a bicep swivel just there as well, so that's something. Now the claws, there is quite a lot of motion because each of these front claws kind of moves independently at 2 points, so just here and just there. And then the back claws will actually swivel on that piece as well. If you really want to separate it out, I guess you could call that articulation. And then there are move as one piece just there on one hinge as well. So yeah, quite a bit, and they can also move out like that. So there's a lot of different joints in these claws that really will enable you to pose them as you see fit. Now there's nothing approaching a waist swivel going on, but there is a really decent hinge just there at this point there. That's the hinge. So he can go, you know, quite far forward. I guess you can call it an ab crunch, and then quite far back as well. So I really feel like you're going to be able to pose this guy in some very cool poses. And then probably the other thing that's worth mentioning, of course, is the tail, which does move at several points. It's got a hinge here, here, here. So, you know, again, you can kind of wrap it how you see fit, but quite poseable tail. Oh, and there are little butterfly joints just on these shoulders, just here as well. So actually they will move forward. Like that. I think that's quite welcome actually. And there you go, should give you a good idea of how he looks as well and how he can pose. I mean, yeah, it is a bit of a weird one, but you can get quite creative with it. And I really like how the treads kind of look like they're flying off him as well. Very cool. Now the other thing that I just clocked with Rampage is that this section on the tail actually flips round like so and reveals this little additional tail section, which then just slides up like that, and then that's just here, and it does a really good job at just filling in that tail section and making it look a lot better. And it's something that I hadn't clocked initially, and to be honest it didn't bother me the other way, but just one of those that without the instructions you're kind of figuring out as you go along. Now with Scrapmetal, there's a very decent range of motion at the head, can look all around and can look down, not really look up in any meaningful way, but still it's fine. And the shoulders and elbows are both on ball joints, so you get a lot of range of motion at both of those, as you would expect, and all the way up like so. And now they are just relying on friction, as you would expect from ball joints, but actually it feels really solid, very tight indeed. So you get a lot of free range of motion there, but you get about 90 degrees bend at the old elbows. And the hands are very strange, but they're essentially claws, like digger claws, and there you go, you can see, and they do move up and down so you get quite a decent bit of posing there as well. Now on the lower half, there's no ab crunch or waist swivel to speak of, but there are then ball joints at the hips just there, so again, quite free range of motion, and actually they will go up all the way out as well. There is a little thigh swivel just there, so that's pretty good. There is a bit of movement at the knees, but not much actually. I mean, they kind of sit in that kind of bird-like pose that a lot of Bayverse or Movieverse Decepticons do, but there's really not much motion at the knees. That's literally, they're kind of stuck like that, if anything. And then the feet, there is a bit of toe articulation, but no ankle tilt at all. And the feet are metal actually, which surprised me. I just clocked that now, but they're quite obviously die-cast. So yeah, with the lack of any movement at the waist, either a swivel or an ab crunch or anything, and the lack of ankle tilt, he's definitely the least posable so far. But still, I think he looks really, really decent. I would have liked ankle tilt. That would have been, I don't mind about the waist, but ankle tilt I think would have been nice on this guy, and it doesn't have it. So that's a little bit disappointing, but still, he does look good. Now, of course, Scrapmetal also comes with this rather nifty little weapons accessory. It's kind of like this sort of mount section just here with 3 of these little hooks, which are all connected via these chains, and I think it looks really, really nice. Now, each of the chains and the hooks can then be mounted with little pegs, and this one in the middle on a little clip, like so. And then if you have this sort of shield piece here mounted on his arm, it gives you a little sort of large peg hole just there, which then this piece can clip onto. It's not the most stable, but it will just about hold. And there you go. It looks pretty cool when it's all kind of mounted and held in hand, or however you want to display it. I mean, realistically, you could probably have a bit of fun with those 3 hooks and kind of, grapple them onto different things with the chains going around and whatever else. But they can get tangled pretty easily. I've already found that to my disadvantage. But as long as you're careful with it, it should be fine. And it does look, it does look pretty cool. And then there's this guy, and where to start, honestly. I mean, it's such a bizarre design, absolutely hilarious. So yeah, there is head articulation that looks like it's on a ball joint, and actually that will just kind of swivel up as well, if indeed you count that. And then it is kind of on this claw arm just there, so it's an arm and a head, I don't know. But it doesn't kind of twist or move out to the side, just swivels up at that little hinge just there. But there is articulation in the claw also, or the fingers, however you want to think of it. Now that will fold away, just kind of underneath there. So you can just kind of rock that back up and fold it in. So if you prefer, you can just kind of have his head sat like so and not have the claw in motion at all. Very, very strange thing, that has to be said, but I kind of prefer it like that without the claw, if anything. He does also then have these little hands just here, which will move a little bit. They actually only move at what I guess you could consider the shoulder joint. There's no articulation in the fingers or anything like that, but they do move a little bit, so that's something, I guess. And then if we come over here, then you do have motion in what I guess is his legs, like that, and the treads do bend a little bit as well, so you can kind of position them a bit further up, like so. I don't know, man. It's all a bit strange, isn't it? It's all a little bit odd, but it gives you a good idea. And of course, the old ball moves as well. Of course, then you've got this kind of crane arm piece just up here, which is it is a single thing. It moves just at the kind of joint there, but then it does split into 2 further up. So you've got this one little hand here, which again has got 3 little kind of pincers on it, all of which are individually articulated, and it's got a bit of, I don't know, is that, I guess that's wrist swivel? You tell me. But that's articulated at several points. And then this claw, or this arm, is the same as well, and that's the one that holds the wrecking ball. So, it is kind of weird, but there you go. And yeah, considering all of that, he actually looks really, really good. What can I say? Honestly, this was the one that I was like, oh my god. But you know what? In hand, I like it. What can I say? It's totally unusual, should not work, but somehow it does. And you know what? Say what you will about those movies, right? But they went for it with some of the more unusual designs. And this guy is pretty out there, but I like it. So again, here's the full set all together and all posed up. And it's a thing, I've got to tell you. I mean, huge toys. It's gonna, if you've not got much space or whatever else, you might want to reconsider on these guys, but because they are definitely going to eat a lot of space. But my word, it's an impressive display. Even with the stand for Rampage and whatever else, I honestly don't mind that. I really feel like this set presents beautifully, and the finish, everything, superb. Definitely MP worthy, in my opinion. There is a kind of chunkier plastic feel to them that doesn't necessarily feel in hand, like to the touch, like the Movieverse MP toys, but that's not a bad thing, do you know what I mean? Because actually they feel more solid than a lot of those designs, and I think they just present wonderfully. I would display them with my MPM collection for sure. And I think, you know, we can evidence that with a few comparisons. And first up, here they are with Wei Jiang Hide Shadow, who of course is another oversized Studio Series mold, originally done, you know, by an unofficial fourth party, I think they're called now, aren't they, or a KO company. And here you can see how they look together, and obviously he's a pretty massive toy, so does scale up, I think, very well actually with these Constructicons, and I think that looks quite spectacular. All of these designs are excellent, and they've just been given that extra sort of little something, I suppose, by being oversized and overhauled a little bit, and certainly for a Revenge of the Fallen display that looks pretty magnificent. And then here they are with TF Dream Factory Megatron, which of course is again the Revenge of the Fallen design. It's not a oversized Studio Series version, this one. It's actually a completely original design, so third party, and really like this toy. Of course there is also a Black Mamba version as well, which is larger than this one, but there you go, gives you a good idea. I think that works really well. You know, I'm not too worried personally about every kind of you know, specific character being exactly the right height or anything like that, and certainly, you know, for me, for a display, that works wonders. And then here they are with a couple of designs from the original movie, the 2007 film. You've got again an oversized version of Brawl. This one is from Black Mamba, which is a really nice toy, and again oversized Studio Series version, and another TF Dream Factory product, the Bone Crusher, and again it's an original design, not an oversized version, that one, but they both look really cool with these Constructicons. Here they are with another oversized Studio Series mold. This is Black Mamba's Starscream, which is really nicely done, and I did a comparison to this with the official Masterpiece, the new Masterpiece MPM 10 in that video. But there you go, you can see it with the Constructicons, and it looks pretty good. And here's another oversized Studio Series version. This is from Zeus Toys. This is their Shockwave, and I've already got a review of this guy on the channel, and it's an absolute behemoth of a thing, as you can no doubt see. It's from actually a Dark of the Moon design, but again, what a sight to behold, eh? And you know, whilst we're doing oversized comparisons and Revenge of the Fallen as well, here's Jetfire, which is, again, it's a Black Mamba toy, and looks quite stunning. Really into this thing. Absolutely phenomenal design, really, and just bringing that character to life. A lot of people don't like that design anyway, but I'm kind of into it, do you know what I mean? And here you go, you get to see some of the more weird and wonderful parts of the Revenge of the Fallen represented. And here we are with a couple more Decepticons. Firstly, we've got New Age Mister, which is standing in for Dark of the Moon Soundwave, along with their Ravage and Laserbeak as well. Of course, Ravage was actually from Revenge of the Fallen, so there you go. It works quite well with the old Constructicons. And you've got the MPM Barricade as well from the 2007 film, and just interesting to see how they all line up, but again, it looks pretty great. And now let's bring in a couple of Autobots. Of course, you've got Masterpiece Movie, Optimus Prime, Ironhide and Bumblebee represented just there, and again, you know, size-wise, see what you make of that, but I think these guys scale pretty well. You know, you got old Longhaul still looking pretty hulking, not as large as Optimus, but you know, generally speaking, I think considering that these are oversized versions, I really like it. I have to say, I'm really into the scale. I don't think I can handle them being much larger anyway. And then I thought it might be fun to take a look at them with a couple of the Unite Warriors Constructicons, of course the Generation 1 characters, and very different in style, of course, and a lot of people, I'm sure, would have preferred something a little bit more, well, a little bit closer to what we saw in the original series. But you know, I think it's still fun to take a look and a bit of a comparison there. And then as a final comparison for the day, here is Longhaul. On the left there, Mechanical Team Longhaul, with Devil's Savior Smash on the right. I suppose I'm including this because it's the only direct comparison we have at the moment in hand with the Devil's Savior set. And it's really interesting to see, because honestly, if you'd have asked me which one of these was likely to take my fancy without having them in hand, you know, before I received either of them, I definitely would have imagined that Devil's Savior would be it. But honestly, looking at them now, there's a lot to be said for the Mechanical Team. Honestly, I mean, first of all, it's bigger. I mean, you know, straight off the bat, you can see that it's got that kind of imposing size that I really wanted from this character specifically. I mean, it's not, you know, it's still not as tall as stuff like MPM Optimus, but it feels chunky and big in a way that the Devil's Savior design just has this kind of lanky quality to it that has never quite sat right with me, even though I do like it. Secondly, I prefer the colour scheme. I like the vibrant colours on the mechanical team version. The weathering is really nice on Devil's Savior, but overall I do like the lighter green, and I do think that the more vivid paint applications are very striking indeed, which just kind of leaves the Devil's Savior effort looking a little bit muted, if anything. So it's certainly interesting to see. And just generally speaking, I think it does, you know, the mechanical team version, I think it does a very, very good job at recalling the character to life. The one thing I am really hopeful for with Devil's Savior is the combined mode. If you've not watched my videos of the two guys that I've got in hand, this and Mixmaster so far, they're split. They've both broken on me on camera, so that's been a bit unfortunate, but I'm sticking with it and hoping that that combined mode is going to look really, really excellent. If indeed the mechanical team end up looking a lot like a sort of bigger Studio Series Devastator, it may be that I just end up with them in individual mode and Devil's Savior in combined mode. We'll have to see how it all shakes out another day. Anyway, for my money, these guys have more than proven themselves in their robot modes. Really enjoying them so far. Definitely worth getting in that regard. But let's check out transformation and vehicle mode. Okay, and there's a lot of them transformed up, and you know what, really quite simple overall, and a lot of fun. I think, well, put it this way, if you've seen my Devil's Savior Smash review on here, then you'll know that that is quite a intricate and certainly quite a tricky transformation. This is nothing like that. This is very kind of chunky, fun, clicks together very simply, but still really effective. It's got to be said that I'm actually amazed how easy it is to transform them considering the results. I mean, there's really nothing here to challenge anybody, and certainly if indeed you are looking to pair these guys with an MPM collection, they're going to be some of the most easy toys in that collection. That's all I can say, which suits me fine, to be honest. I've always been of the mind that I really don't mind combiners not being too complicated, because ultimately you want to be able to transform you know, all 5 of them, 6 of them, 8 of them, whatever it is, you know, and get them combined up with relative ease. Anyway, you don't want to be spending 5 hours doing it, and these guys certainly fit that bill. Now, taking a look at them one by one, and of course starting with Longhaul, he's again very different to the Smash Devil Savior Smash toy. Again, really chunky. Really love the kind of vibrant colors in this mode. I think it works excellently. Just looks so fun, doesn't it? Realistically, it looks like a big kind of Tonka truck thing, and that's exactly what I would have wanted, to be honest. Maybe that's not going to be to everybody's taste, but that said, there is still some nice detailing going on as well. I mean, that front section still looks really decent, some nice paint applications on here, and I really like this kind of soft blue on the window. That looks nice. Some little detailing on the side here as well that kind of carries over from the legs, and this little kind of panel section here, that looks really, really good. And kind of a slightly softer plastic for the wheels, not rubber, but still slightly softer plastic. And generally speaking, I think that, you know, it looks really good. Now, coming around to this back and this top section here, this is where things do get slightly messy, but it's still okay. I mean, there's a very visible set of robot mode arms in there, but if I'm completely honest, it's not great. Like, they are obvious, and particularly the hands, you know, you can see them all too clearly right there. But actually, that's something that you got to some extent on Smash as well. So, you know, it's just one of those. That does seem to be a downfall of a lot of Longhaul designs, and lo and behold, it's here as well. And then these pieces are these kind of little sections that go into the ankles, which I think is an additional piece. I don't have the original Studio Series molds and haven't experienced them, so, you know, I'm obviously working off kind of, you know, my knowledge, what I know of them, but I don't believe that those pieces are there. I think they're additional pieces, and then of course you can just clip them in on the back here to kind of fill in the truck, and I don't know, it's not brilliant, but it's fine. Overall though, aside from that top section, I got nothing but nice things to say about this guy, honestly, because I just think it's chunky, fun, it doesn't overcomplicate things. It's exactly what I would have wanted. Next up is Rampage, and let me say, this guy is the definite highlight of the set for me, right? Like, just absolutely brilliant. Love the transformation. It's so simple. I actually think it might be the most simple of the lot of them. It's just literally the arms fold in at the sides, the tail folds up into this bit, and you kind of flip it over, and there you go. But it just really works, and the result to me looks excellent. Very convincing, you know, construction vehicle mode, considering that the robot mode looks as it does. I mean, realistically, where's all the robot mode kibble, right? Like, it's exceptionally clean, even from the back. Like, you can just see here little panels. These are the claws, just kind of that clip together. But there's not really any, you know, anything to worry about there in terms of kibble or anything like that. It just looks really, really good. Now, the treads don't roll and the shovel doesn't move, but it does look really, really nice. Really like the paint on here. I think that looks excellent. Almost kind of a little face in there, isn't there? With 2 eyes, little nose, and kind of a very grumpy mouth. Not just me seeing that, right?
Nothing defeats the Devastator.
Excuse me. Anyway, there's a really nice detail on the side here as well. Love these little caution logos. Love all the yellow paint that carries through. Obviously, we looked at that in the robot mode. Really love all the kind of detailing and everything going on in here. Paint applications are nigh on flawless. Cab section looks really good too. Little molded details such as the windscreen wiper just there, and kind of very sort of soft or dark color used for the windshield and the windows, but looks really good. And some little flourishes like the little warning logo on the back. That looks really nice. What else can I say other than that this thing is just such a fun toy overall, and a definite standout for me, as I already mentioned. Next up, we've got Scrapmetal, and again, looks really, really good. Those colors carry over nicely from the robot mode, and really kind of shine here. It's got that kind of nice chunky kind of classic quality to it. It's the kind of thing that I just know that my son will go absolutely nuts for. Now again, the treads don't actually roll, although there are little wheels to have him roll along if you need to, but the crane arm does move quite a bit in this mode, and the little scoop as well. Actually, you get quite a decent range of motion with that one, so I think that's pretty good. Now, as in the robot mode, you get lots of nice little tampos and things like that, including the cat logo again and caution. In fact, you can see that over quite a large portion of the vehicle mode, and there's some, well, decent paint applications all over actually. And then this piece is that kind of additional arm shield, which is again, I think is probably an extra piece for this oversized version, probably not on the original, because the way it kind of tabs in the top, it just kind of covers the hole that's underneath there normally, and it does a decent job in that regard. Now this lad does have a little bit of kibble going on at the back. You can see his feet just here and his little head poking out, but still it's relatively well hidden, and honestly it doesn't bother me. Now what you can do if you want to is mount that weapon that we looked at earlier, just on top like that, with all the chains just kind of, I guess, hanging off the back somehow. It does look a little bit mad, but I guess, you know, that's what it is. Now, alternatively, you can actually just swap out the end of the crane arm just here, because that bit just unpegs like so, and then you've got this piece, which we looked at the very beginning, which should just slide in its place like so. And that gives old Scrapmetal here quite a different look, all things considered. Obviously, he's got these little jaws just there. Kind of looks a bit like a dragon to me. I don't know, that's just my brain, honestly, it just picks up on these kinds of things all the time. I don't know, it just seems to go looking for them, but definite dragon quality there to my eye. Overall then, really dig this vehicle mode. Got a lot of nice things to say about this guy on the whole. He's good. Of course, he's not the only yellow crane guy in this set, and here is Hightower, who, do you know what, considering how bizarre that robot mode is, very easy transformation as well, quite good fun. Really like how the legs come together, and the result is quite unusual, but quite distinctive. Again, I think it's kind of nice actually with these Constructicons that they've gone for a couple more sort of unusual cranes and things like that. It looks really cool. Now, of course, you've got quite a bit of range of motion in the crane itself and in the little arm, which can move. It's got several little pincers and things like that. That's exactly the same as when we looked at it in the robot mode, but that's obviously the kind of main point of play just going on here. As with the rest of the set, the paint applications and everything else look on point. I mean, there's not as much to admire here. There's just the kind of painted black ladder, this little kind of emergency detailing on here, and some silver on the treads. It's all fine, it's absolutely fine, it looks really good. It's just not quite as, let's say, resplendent as something like Rampage, but it's still good. It does have this little kind of rounded section at the back, which cleverly disguises the what is obviously a combiner port just there, but actually it's tucked away so neatly that you could really just not notice it. And it's got some little caution, keep clear logos here and some little red tail lights. It's all really, really good stuff. Of course, if you prefer, you can bring in one of the wrecking balls on this guy as well. There are two, but realistically you can only fit kind of one at a time. Now, this claw section doesn't actually come off, it's pinned on, which is a little bit strange. So you have to kind of fold that out the way, if anything, and then you can just bring in one of your two balls like so, and it looks pretty good. So, you know, for such an unusual robot mode, I think he cleans up really nicely in vehicle mode. I think it's a great fun toy. Overall, a lot simpler than I would have imagined, but really, really effective. So yeah, there's some fun toys, really, really fun toys, and big as well. I mean, just look at them here compared with MPM Jazz as the official toy. And all right, that's one of the smaller examples in car mode, but you can really get a sense of the scale of these guys. They are big, needless to say. They're going to take up a lot of room in your display, but hey, I think it's worth it. And then here they are with MPM 10, the new Masterpiece Starscream mold. And yeah, I mean, clearly that's not in scale, but still, it's really fun to see them together. And they're still big toys. I mean, Starscream is big in jet mode, and lo and behold, that's how they shape up there. Really, really nice. In conclusion then, I think it's a great set so far. There's really a lot to like here. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if indeed the rest of the set is made. I'm obviously hopeful that it will be. You know, we haven't seen much, if anything, of that yet. There is another oversized, or no, actually it's not even oversized, I think just another KO Constructicon set doing the rounds as well, and we've seen Mixmaster from that set, which I think is, you know, causing some confusion, people getting the two mixed up. But thus far, no, we haven't seen what Mixmaster or any of the others look like. So can't wait for that, because honestly, these guys so far are a real tour de force. Just brilliant, brilliant overhaul of the original designs. I mean, all credit to Hasbro for obviously designing them, and then here they've really just been kind of souped up to a degree that MPM collectors can, I think, legitimately be happy with them. They're much more simple than your average MPM toy, but they display beautifully. Rampage for me is the absolute standout, so if you were just going to get the one, I would give serious consideration to that. But overall, it's a great set. Can't wait to see how they combine, and definitely giving Devil Savior a run for their money in my book. All of which means that it's quite simply a toot. Now, as I already mentioned at the beginning of the video, these guys are available to order from Show Z Store now. So as I mentioned, you will find a link to their site in the video description. Otherwise, that's it from me. So don't forget to drop me a like if you enjoyed today's video, and have a great rest of your day. TTFN.